But first, President Trump has fired his Homeland Security Secretary. An administration source cites a laundry list of complaints about Secretary Kristi Noem, including what are called many unfortunate failures of leadership. The president has nominated Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin to replace Noem. Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy starts us off tonight live from the North Lawn. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Brett. Markwayne Mullin, the 48-year-old MMA fighter turned senator, is next up for Senate confirmation. Kristi Noem is next up to be the special envoy for the Shield of Americas, and we will learn what that job is and what it entails at an event on Saturday. But sources close to the administration are telling us there are four main reasons she had to go.
We're destroying more of Iran's missiles and drone capability every single hour.
And with an eye on new threats from Iran and its terror proxies, an administration official tells Fox it was time. Replacing Kristi was based on the culmination of her many unfortunate leadership mishaps, including the fallout in Minnesota, the $200 million ad campaign, the allegations of infidelity, the mismanagement of her staff, and her constant feuding with the heads of other agencies, including CBP and ICE. The DHS ad campaign that upset the White House looked like this.
But if you come here the right way, your American dream can be as big as these endless skies.
Noem's defense of that ad this week sealed her fate.
Correct.
Did the president know you were going to do this?
Yes.
He did.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The president says not true, telling Reuters, "I never knew anything about it." As news of Noem's dismissal broke, she addressed a conference in Nashville and acted like nothing was wrong.
We'll continue to work together to make sure that we have the opportunity to do that.
In D.C., her replacement was detailing today's call from President Trump.
Not a complete surprise, but it came at a little bit of surprise for us.
Some Democratic reaction was predictable.
The president has fired Kristi Noem. Good riddance.
Some was not. Senator John Fetterman writes, "I'm not sure how many fellow Democrats will vote to support our colleague Senator Mullin as the next DHS secretary, but I am. And Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters general president, writes, "If anyone is willing to stand their butt up to protect America, it's Markwayne Mullin." They've come a long way in the 3 years since a near fist fight.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. No, stop it.
Is that your solution? Every
Hold it. No, sit down.
And pulling Markwayne Mullin from the Senate could be complicated for Republicans who don't have much of a margin there, because his replacement will be named by Kevin Stitt, a Republican governor who President Trump has in recent weeks called a rhino and a wise guy. But Governor Stitt insists Mullin will be replaced by a strong, small government conservative. Brett?
Peter Doocy, live on the North Lawn. Peter, thank you.
Now, the backdrop of all of this is the battle in Congress over DHS funding, and that is playing out this hour on Capitol Hill, where Fox News congressional correspondent Bill Melugin joins me now. Bill.
Will, good afternoon to you. We've been told by sources that this had actually been brewing for quite some time. It really started with all that chaos we saw in Minneapolis, but it really escalated this week with Secretary Noem's testimony before the Senate here on the Hill, in particular about that $200 million ad campaign, those videos that she was a part of. Take a look.
You cross the border illegally, we'll find you. Break our laws, we'll punish you. Harm American citizens, there will be consequences. But if you come here the right way, your American dream can be as big as these endless skies. From President Trump and me, welcome home.
So, Will, we just talked to Senator John Kennedy a short time ago here on the Hill. He told reporters that when he found out about those ads and the cost behind them, he was offended. So he called the White House and told them he planned to press Secretary Noem on these videos, on these contracts at that Senate hearing on Tuesday. He said the White House didn't oppose him doing that, so we saw what happened. Take a look.
And you're saying that you're testifying that President Trump approved this ahead of time? Is that my understanding?
We had conversations about making sure that we were telling people.
No, ma'am. I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know you were going to do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Will, Senator Kennedy told us a short time ago that President Trump called him right after seeing that testimony and that he was absolutely furious about it, said he never approved that contract, didn't even know about it, and was already talking about replacing Kristi Noem on Tuesday night. Take a listen to what he just told us.
But the president, when he called me Tuesday night, the night of the hearing, when he was mad as a murder hornet, he asked me what I thought about Mark Twain, and I said, A, I like him. B, he's very smart. C, he's a very good businessman. And D, if I didn't believe the three things I just told you, I'd lie to you because Mark Twain would whip my ass.
And Senator Mullin already has at least one Democrat in the Senate who is going to be supporting him. That is Senator John Fetterman, who posted on X, quote, as a member of the Homeland Security Committee and the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Border Security, I'm not sure how many fellow Democrats will vote to support our colleague Senator Mullin as the next DHS secretary, but saying that he is voting yes. And back out here live, Will, Senator Mark Wayne Mullin told us that Senator Fetterman is a friend of his and that they've already been texting since this announcement came out. He also said that Kristi Noem is a close friend of his and that as of about an hour ago, he hadn't been able to call her and have a conversation with her about all of this just yet. We'll send it back to you.
Bill, Senator Mullin is the man of the hour. Senator Kennedy is a national treasure. Thank you for all of that, Bill Mullin.
Yep.
Senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich back with us from the White House with more breaking news and details as we fill out the contours of this story. Jackie, what are you learning now?
Yeah, just speaking with some folks who have a lot of knowledge of this situation. I'm told the president spoke with Kristi Noem just before that Truth Social post went out, which means that when she was on camera giving her remarks and didn't actually touch on what had just happened, she was aware of what was happening. Mm-hmm. I'm further told that Corey Lewandowski is expected to leave with her. Of course, the rumors of an affair between the two were one of the factors that I'm told compelled the president to remove her as DHS secretary. Both of them are married, and she had faced questions about her alleged affair during testimony on the Hill this week. Under oath, she did not deny it. She called the reports garbage, but she never denied sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski. And I'm told that he's expected to leave his post as a special government employee and advisor to her when she departs the Department of Homeland Security. Unclear so far. I'm trying to still get information on whether leave with her means go with her to this new role that we are still fleshing out what exactly that entails, or if that means leaving the government as a special government employee, if that relationship has frosted over. Still looking for more information there. But the president was unhappy, I'm told, with quote, many of her unfortunate leadership failures, which included Minnesota, her public statements in the fallout to that deportation campaign there, also the ad campaign, the $200 million in spending, and these rumors of an affair with Corey Lewandowski.
Yeah.
And he's expected to leave with her, Martha.
Well, that's a strong list. And unfortunate failures is strong language coming from your sources at the White House with regard to this exit of Kristi Noem. And she will have this new role as in the Shield of the Americas. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not Corey Lewandowski is going with her to that. He, of course, was President Trump's very first campaign manager back in 2016. But he has had a volatile record over these years, sort of in and then out again. So we'll stay on top of that. We know you are. And Jackie, let us know if you get some more information. We'll come right back to you. Thank you.
We have official reaction now from Secretary Noem. She has posted this to X. Thank you, POTUS, for appointing me as the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Secretary Rubio and Secretary of War are incredible leaders, and I look forward to working with them closely to dismantle cartels that have poured drugs into our nation and killed our children and grandchildren. The Western Hemisphere is absolutely critical for U.S. security. In this new role, I will be able to build on the partnerships, the national security expertise I forged over the last 13 months as the Secretary of Homeland Security. We have made historic accomplishments at the Department of Homeland Security to make America safe again. We delivered the most secure border in American history. 3 million illegal aliens have left the U.S. We've located 145,000 children. FEMA delivered disaster relief at a 100% faster rate. We ushered in the golden age of travel, saved the American taxpayer $13 billion, and revitalized the U.S. Coast Guard. So Kristi Noem just posting that to X moments ago. Molly?
Yeah, it does. I'm sure she does want to highlight some of the successes that she had during her time there. I also find it interesting that this new role that she has is a more foreign policy facing role. The cartels really are an important part of the Trump agenda, dealing with them. And should she want a political career in the future, one that a different office she might want to run for, it might be good to have increased foreign policy performance like she will get here.
Molly, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us today for the breaking news.
On the big news, Trump nominating Senator Mullin to be next DHS secretary. Let's bring in Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who joins us now on the phone. Governor, thanks for being with us here today. Congratulations on your primary victory for the general election to be reelected as governor of Texas. You heard Hakeem Jeffries, House Minority Leader. He said Kristi Noem's removal at DHS is not enough. You have to have significant policy changes at DHS. You have been the governor of Texas through many different versions of policy changes, those under Joe Biden, those under President Trump. What's it look like under those different policies?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you, this may be a first for your show because I'm calling in live from the Alamo, and great to visit with you from the Alamo. But that said, listen, what we have seen during my time as governor is Joe Biden's open border policy, which are the kind of policies that Hakeem Jeffries was supportive of, versus Donald Trump's border policy, which is the most secure border we've ever seen. You saw the disaster of thousands of people crossing the border illegally every single day under Joe Biden, and now nobody crossing the border any day under Donald Trump. And so we need more of what Donald Trump is doing. What Hakeem Jeffries is demanding, I think, is not deliverable, because I don't think that the president or the Republicans or America should give Hakeem Jeffries any veto power over what's going on the border. Donald Trump was elected overwhelmingly to secure the border, stop illegal immigration, and remove anybody here illegally.
And do you feel good, Governor, about that under the leadership of Senator Markwayne Mullin?
Listen, you know he is tough as nails. And I think that's one reason why President Trump went to go to him, because he knows how to be tough, how to get the job done. And importantly, he knows how to work collaboratively with the president and execute exactly what the president wants delivered. And again, the president's job on the border and with regard to illegal immigration is not yet complete. It has to continue for 3 more years. And President Trump has to have the person he thinks will be best qualified to fulfill the duties that President Trump wants to have achieved on the border. And that's what I wanted to see also. Kristi Noem is a friend, done a great job, and I've known her since we were governors together. But I respect whoever President Trump is going to put into office, because I know no one in the entire world will do a better job of securing our border than Donald J. Trump.
Governor, I got to ask you about something from our state of Texas, where there are reports out that President Trump yesterday would make an endorsement in the primary race for senator and expect that the challenger between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn would drop out. Today, Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas suggested that if, in fact, the Senate would vote on the SAVE Act to protect American elections, then he would consider dropping out of that primary to leave John Cornyn to run against James Tallarico as senator. What can you tell us about what's happening in Texas?
Well, to state the obvious, this is a hotly contested, very expensive primary race already. And the appearance is that President Trump is working with both Cornyn and Paxton to try to find a pathway forward to make sure we're going to have Republican leadership elected in November, as well as make sure we will have robust policies like the SAVE Act passed. And I can't tell you what all is going on behind the scenes. All I know is that there's no better power broker in the United States to get something done than Donald Trump.
Well, Governor, you're right. It is the first time we've had a live call-in from the Alamo. We're proud and appreciate that you did so here 3 days removed from Texas Independence Day. Thank you, Governor.
All right, Chad Pergram is joining us now from Capitol Hill. Chad, what's the update from there?
I want to reiterate just the speed of this because, we had started to get some rumblings about Markwayne Mullin and Kristi Noem's ouster, and I had reached out to Markwayne Mullin, and he had indicated he had not, had any conversations with the president since the hearing. So he's absolutely right. This came, with lightning speed. Now, the question is, how quickly can he be confirmed? John Fetterman, the Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, indicates that he would vote yes, even though he thought a lot of fellow Democrats would vote no. I pressed Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, just a bit ago here in the House, because those two served together as both House members, and he didn't want to really weigh in on that. He said, we want to kind of, see how this plays out. But the other thing I then followed up on was, does this make a difference in the Homeland Security Department shutdown over ICE? At some point, Hakeem Jeffries had said, that we need to have a personnel change. And he said, okay, we do have a personnel change now, but that personnel change, quote, is not sufficient. He did say good riddance. And I think that it was interesting that he said, this kind of cracks the door a little bit maybe toward, fixing this now 19-day shutdown at the Department of Homeland Security, this fight over ICE. But he said he still needs to see these policy changes with ICE. Now, the other thing here, as I always say, it's about the math. We're looking at who Kevin Stitt, the governor, might appoint. Immediately, I would suggest it might be a House member. You can't do that. You could appoint a House member, but you're going to really mess with the narrow House majority, and then you would have a vacancy, and then you would have to have a vacancy there, and that's a problem because then they might lose their majority. You cannot appoint somebody to the House. You can appoint to the Senate under the Constitution. You cannot appoint to the House of Representatives, guys.
All right, Chad, well, with that update live from Capitol Hill. Chad, thank you.
Chad, thank you.
A little bit of surprise for us. And so the president and I, as you guys know, we're great friends and we get along great. I look forward to working with him and his cabinet. Of course, we still got to go through this little thing called confirmation, and we're going to get started on it right away.
Tell us about the conversation. What did he say? Did he call you?
You guys have been with me long enough, asked me enough questions. You know I don't share private conversations.
Tell me your reaction. Tell me your reaction.
Are you going to the White House today?
I don't think I'm going today. I think I need to talk to my wife first.
Do you expect
to get support from Democrats?
Tell us your reaction when you got the phone call from him.
I was excited. I mean, when
you saw his name calling.
Well, it came from the White House, so it came from the switchboard. But I was excited. The president, first of all, the president, I have a really good relationship. We talk all the time, anyways. I've got to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting the call today, but super excited. And I'm more excited about just ready to get started. There's a lot of work we can do to get Department of Homeland Security working, working for the American people. The Department of Homeland Security has a very broad jurisdiction, and I think there's a lot of work that we need to do, and I'm excited about it.
Senator Fetterman says he's going to vote for you. Do you expect other Democrats to vote for you?
John already texted me, and of course you guys know John and I are friends too, and so I don't know. We're going to try to earn everybody's vote. I want people to understand. When I go into this position, yes, I'm a Republican, yes, I'm conservative. But Department of Homeland Security is to keep everybody, regardless if you support me, if you don't support me, regardless of what your thoughts are. I'm here to enforce the policies that Congress passed, and right now I'm part of it, but once I make that transition, my focus is to keep the Homeland secure. That's going to be my focus, and we're super excited about this opportunity. Let me go here.
Any lessons learned from the past?
Senator Schumer said that the rot is throughout the agency, and that changing the head at the top may not necessarily change the culture of the agency. What do you tell Democrats?
I'm going to have a conversation with if Mr. Schumer wants to sit down and talk to me. I'm going to sit down and talk to him. I want to try to earn their support, and I'm going to be very open and honest with them. And at the end of the day, all I can do is do my job, and so I'm not going to get in a tit for tat. But if they have real concerns, I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to see if it's practical. But nothing's going to prevent me from doing my job. I'm going to enforce the policies and the laws that Congress has passed, and we're going to protect our homeland.
Senator, you know that immigration enforcement.
Looking at some of
I'm going to take one more, and then I need to go.
Thank you, Senator. Just looking at some of the criticism that NOEM has faced, is there any learning lessons that you have picked up from NOEM and the ways in which you want to lead the agency a little bit differently?
Kristi is a friend, and I haven't had time to call Kristi yet, and our Secretary NOEM, and our families are friends. She was tasked to do a very difficult job, and I think she has performed the best she can do underneath the circumstances. Is there always lessons that can be learned? Listen, my wife and I, over the years, we have been fortunate enough to purchase companies and grow our companies, and every day there's something you can do better. And so I think there's an opportunity to build off successes. And there's also opportunities to build off things that maybe didn't go quite as planned. So,
Senator,
all right, so Senator Mark Wayne Mullin putting a little more meat on the bones there.
And with that, we bring in Chad Wolf, former acting DHS Secretary, now Homeland Security and Immigration Chair at the America First Policy Institute. Chad, good to have you with us. So now a source at the White House citing many unfortunate failures at the DHS Secretary level for Kristi Noem. Your reaction to this?
Well, let me just say that Senator Markwayne Mullin's a great pick. I think he's going to do wonders for the department. He's a patriot. He understands the threats facing the Homeland, being on the Armed Services Committee, and knows immigration and border security. So just a great pick by the president. Looking forward to seeing him come on board and do good stuff. Look, I think this issue, when we talk about border security and immigration, it's been one of the president's foremost successful policy changes from the Biden administration. He has done more for border security and making sure we get dangerous criminals out of this country than any other president. And unfortunately, over the last several months, there's just been some other issues that have been overshadowing that fact. And I think obviously the president decided that a change needed to be made. And so again, I think the department's going to be in great hands once the senator is confirmed and gets in the spot.
Yeah, I just want to run a few seconds of this commercial that Senator Kennedy brought up at this hearing the other day, and which the White House is now indicating was one of the factors because the president did not like this report, according to Jackie Heinrich's reporting just now, that $200 million was spent on an ad campaign. Let's just watch a few seconds of this.
You cross the border illegally, we'll find you. Break our laws, we'll punish you. Harm American citizens, there will be consequences. But if you come here the right way, your American dream can be as big as these endless skies. From President Trump and me, welcome home.
So just watching that for a few seconds, I mean, we've all seen this ad campaign everywhere. It was a very splashy, big campaign. And, you know, it does seem that every time that Secretary Noem was promoting a policy initiative, she was pretty much front and center in the promotion of it. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, I would say 2 points. One, the idea of a messaging campaign or an ad campaign is okay to make sure that you're communicating with individuals that you want to self-deport. You want them to remove themselves from the country. So it's okay getting that message out. Obviously, I would have done it very differently. I think you know, the president and others obviously had a concern about that. When you as the secretary put yourself as in the forefront of that, there's a lot of different faces. There's a lot of different professionals at the department that can also deliver that message in an effective way as well. And so, again, I think there's just a series of incidents, many of which you've covered here, that have just been overshadowed the success the department, the President Trump and his administration has done to really change the dynamics along the border and to secure the American people. And so this is an issue that he should be leading by a large percentage on, given the success, and they just weren't seeing that. And obviously the president decided that change needed to be made.
Yeah, and no doubt the president is ready to turn the page on this, and I think the American people are mostly concerned about the defense of the Homeland, which was obviously an agency that was put together after September 11th to make sure that these agencies were talking to each other, and that's a really important role here. But it was also mentioned in Jackie's reporting a moment ago that he was not happy with the Corey Lewandowski relationship, whatever the nature of that truly is. There's been a lot of rumors about it. You know, your reaction to them including that on the list from the White House, from a source?
Well, again, I don't know anything specific about that. Obviously, it's been reported for some period of time, and I think it goes, as you indicated and you've reported, to leadership challenges and decision making. And I think, you know, all three of those different incidents, whether it's the ad campaign, you know, what obviously happened in Minneapolis, and now this last issue, these are all leadership issues and decision making issues that the secretaries had to deal with. And obviously, President Trump didn't like that and made that change. So I'll let him and his administration further expand on that. All I can say is we're in a heightened threat environment with obviously what's going on overseas in Iran. Now is exactly the wrong time to not have the department fully funded, and now is when you need that leadership. And so there's a number of professional folks at the department that are not going to miss a beat, even though there may be some, you know, maybe some changes at the top here. I think the American people can rest assured that you've got competent people like Rodney Scott at Customs and Border Protection and others at the department that are going to make sure that their job continues on and that the American people are safe.
Indeed. The security of the American people is the #1 concern. And, you know, you look back at this list of these three things, and I think that they all sort of served as a distraction that maybe the president decided was not necessary in this moment for the reasons that you point out, Chad. Thank you very much. Always good to have you here. here, Chad.
So let's go to Laura Reese. She is a former acting deputy chief of staff at DHS under President Trump. She joins us now by phone. So apparently the straw, Laura, that broke the camel's back was at the hearings this week on Capitol Hill. Kristi Noem said that the president knew about and signed off on this huge budget for advertising for DHS, which prominently figured the secretary. And he says that he didn't know anything about it. And if I know anything about this president, it's that when you get yourself in a hot spot or a tight spot, don't lay it off on the president.
Agreed, and that's sage advice. Obviously, the secretary, it became too much about her. And President Trump knows, as a good leader, when it's time to change up the team, and that's what he's doing here, so that a new secretary can focus on carrying out the mission. And the mission of DHS is too important for distractions, particularly when we are facing concern of sleeper cells in the U.S. due to Biden's open border the past 4 years. And so it's time for a phase 2 for DHS, a new leader who focuses on the mission and to continue to carry out President Trump's agenda, both in maintaining a very secure border, but also to carry out mass deportations.
Laura, at what could be described as a critical moment for the country, for DHS, what does this transition, do you imagine, look like?
Well, I believe I had heard that she is there, or this is effective at the end of the month. And so I'm sure there'll be a kind of a mini transition for focus on that department, for potential incoming staff, with a new secretary, as well as other political appointees who are already at DHS, as well as career staff there. But it is also very incumbent upon Congress now to fund DHS. It's just negligence on the part of the Congressional Democrats that they haven't been funding this critical department, especially when we are facing potential sleeper cells again, due to Biden's open borders.
Now, in terms of the confirmation process as it goes forward, the margins will be a little narrow because obviously Senator Markwayne Mullin cannot vote for himself. But we are told that he's going to pick up at least one vote on the Democratic side, that Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania has already said that he will vote to confirm Mullin.
Well, that's good news. I mean, this is a very important department and needs a secretary. So we don't need more games from Congress of obstructing the ability to carry out the Homeland Security mission, whether that is funding or confirming leadership.
Real quickly, I believe Bill Melugin took this video of Markwayne Mullin a few moments ago. We just turned it around. Okay, here we go.
No, the president, I still got to communicate, so we'll talk about it moving forward. But I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, the president and I have already talked. Obviously, the statement went out, but we need to talk with the president, and we're going to get on the same page and do what we need to do.
Do you want to change at DHS? When did you make changes at DHS? When did you find out, sir?
A little bit before you guys did.
Do you want the job?
Any changes?
Senator, did you expect this?
Guys, I'll talk to y'all more.
Do you want the job, Senator?
The question was, when did you find out? I found out a little bit before you guys did, as these things sometimes go, Laura.
Yeah, well, and who knows exactly what that means? Did he find out an hour ago? Did he find out yesterday? Did he find out in the last week? I'm sure that the president asked him about it. Well, who knows when he asked him about it, because this president, if he does anything, he moves quickly. So maybe he just called him up and said, Mark, I want you to be DHS secretary, make it happen. And then the rest is now what's in motion.
Yes, this is obviously very fluid and very new, so it'll play out. But again, we can't be wasting too much time here because the mission is so important. We have to secure the homeland. We need to get new leadership in place. We need to get the department funded so that the president can continue to carry out his agenda, securing the border, mass deportations, et cetera.
Okay, Laura, thank you so much for joining our coverage.
Thanks, Laura.
We're going to head back to the...
Kristi Noem has been fired.
consistent with what we have demanded on behalf of the American people. But let me also make clear, a change in personnel is not sufficient. We need a change in policy. And that has to be bold, dramatic, transformational, and meaningful.
So with that, let's bring in Karl Rove, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff and Fox News contributor. Karl, good to have you with us. Your reaction to this cabinet shakeup this afternoon?
Well, a pretty dramatic change. We should not have been surprised about this ad campaign. When she was the governor of South Dakota in 2020, there was some controversy about her taking the entire tourism budget and put it behind a television campaign that featured her inviting people to come to South Dakota and then running it on Fox News and other conservative outlets. And it was not there was a little bit of controversy over that. And her advisor in that situation was the same advisor apparently behind this ad campaign, Corey Lewandowski. So it's important for the president to stop the hemorrhaging. It started when he sent Tom Homeland to Minneapolis to settle things and to take command of these enforcement efforts, and smart to make the decision now and get it done with.
Yeah, obviously the president does not like spending that goes beyond. He has gone after Jerome Powell, and a lot of people question some of the motives in that. We know he wants him to lower interest rates as well, but he was also very unhappy with the overruns of the costs at the Treasury Department and a renovation that was going on there. And these were very lavish ad campaigns. And as you're saying that, I'm remembering the ones from South Dakota. She was like a plumber underneath the sink, talking about how she was going to fix the sink. And then there was like a dentist one. I think they were very glossy.
That was the second ad campaign. Okay. The first ad campaign was aimed at tourism. The second, you're right, there was a second campaign that said, move your businesses to South Dakota. Right. That followed, I think that was like 2021 and 2022. And incidentally, but the PAL was the Federal Reserve. But you're right, the president doesn't like people who are wasting money. Yes. And this was clearly a waste of money. But good that he sent Tom Homan in. Senator Mullin is going to be, I think, a very well received by his colleagues in the Senate. Confirmation, well, it will be a little bit bumpy, should move pretty fast. But notice today, Hakeem Jeffries is upping the ante. The Democrats have got to be afraid that now that this change has been made, that they are going to start, there's going to be more attention to the fact that they're holding up the approval of the DHS budget for an ever-growing and ever-changing list of demands with regard to policies inside the agency. So when we get crimped at the airports with fewer TSA screeners, as happened to me 2 nights ago, we're going to increasingly be turning to the Democrats and saying, why are you holding up funding this important part of government?
Well, as you say that, I'm thinking that there'll be an interesting opportunity there for Markwayne Mullin during his confirmation process, because they'll be back and forth on this issue of the spending with regard to DHS and opening up that budget again to make sure that TSA is covered. And I'm sure we'll get some animated back and forth on that issue. I also wonder, just politically, Karl, if the president's feeling was, let's just deal with this right now. We're still far enough away from the midterms that let's just, fix this issue so that we don't have to deal with it down the road.
Yeah, look, it absolutely. In fact, it should have been dealt with earlier. You have the problem of she insisted on approving all contracts over a very modest amount. So you had a lot of complaints from areas like western North Carolina that had suffered terrible natural disasters and not getting the assistance they needed. You had Minneapolis, where she shot her mouth off pretty quickly, claiming that a man who was killed in an altercation with ICE agents was a terrorist, and it turned out that wasn't the case, and the administration got a black eye on that. So, yeah, no, I'm glad it happened. It would have been better had it happened earlier.
Yeah, with regard to this senator, I mean, obviously Oklahoma is likely to be replaced with a Republican in that seat. But, what does that movement tell you about as you look ahead to the midterms, Karl?
Well, first of all, the governor of Oklahoma, I think, has the authority to appoint a senator who will serve until the next election. So the Republicans won't be down one vote in the Senate. But, you know, it's a safe choice. He will be replaced by a Republican immediately by the governor, and probably replaced by a Republican in the election, whenever that is. Mullin was not up for election this year, so I think at least 2 years left in his term, maybe 4. But also it shows that the president is sensitive to getting these things done and out of the way before we get deep into the summer and then into the fall. If you're running a White House political operation, you want to be able to control as much of the agenda for the fall, for August, September, October, and the first few days in November as you possibly can. So get things like this done and out of the way sooner rather than later.
Yep, indeed. The screen on the right-hand side is Senator Markwayne Mullin's office, and he has not come out yet, but we're waiting for another statement from him. And when we get that, we'll take you right to it. Karl Rove, thank you. Great to have you with us today.
Thanks, Martha.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.